Hello, welcome to another episode of In the Trenches with Gang Green. I'm your host, Bubbs. Today is Tuesday, January 21st. Hopefully everybody's having a good day so far today. This is episode 475 of the In the Trenches with Gang Green podcast. I thank you, as always, for joining me. Another day, another podcast, and more general manager and head coach search news to discuss. Quick episode here as we got some news about Aaron Glenn's and Lance Newmark in-person interview today out at One Jets Drive. Interview is complete. They have now left the building, and now we wait to see what's next. For those tuning in on YouTube, make sure to please like and subscribe. We're just 3 subs away from hitting 500, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Appreciate your support as always, and thank you to those of you tuning in on all the different audio podcast platforms. As always, wherever you can find this show, appreciate the support so much, especially this time of year as the Jets continue their search for their new head coach and general manager, which seems to be down to Aaron Glenn and Lance Newmark, but we don't have the official hire yet at both those positions, as the two were out at One Jets Drive this afternoon, but they left the facility. As always, you could check out all of our podcast partners in the description of this video. Wanted to kind of put a quick episode up here, so we'll get right into it. Aaron Glenn and Lance Newmark. This was reported from Adam Schefter just a bit ago. Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn and Commanders assistant GM Lance Newmark, both of whom interviewed in person today with the Jets, have left the team's training facility per sources. I will just say this. It has been a long day as a Jet fan. It's been a long day. A lot of refreshing Twitter, a lot of waiting, a lot of different rumors and reports that come out about, them going to the facility, interviewing taking place, the mutual interest. You then get the report a little bit earlier than the Adam Schefter report that both sides, it feels like it's getting close. You're kind of just hammering out the contracts at this point. And it felt like we were going to get something around 5, 6 o'clock. It felt like, and nothing happened, and they left the facility. So it's been a long day, but I'll say this and kind of wanted to pop on here and make this episode. I don't think there should be any panic amongst Jets fans about this. I think this is just two sides that met all day, kind of taking a step away, still remaining in contact. A deal will get done. I think at this point, I'd be shocked on so many levels if this was not something that would to get done. If you go back to 2021 and Robert Saleh, he left the building shortly thereafter. Deal got done. He got hired, and it was made official. If you remember, he actually had an interview scheduled, I believe, the next day with the Eagles, I believe it was, to interview for their job. And that interview ended up getting canceled because, of course, he, got the Jets job. So at the time, I remember everybody was up in arms for Robert Saleh when he left the building. Same thing's happening now. There's no reason to be concerned. This is just a part of the process. They were there all day. They leave. Agents will stay in contact. I still would not be surprised. I would probably expect something to get done here 24 to 48 hours. Maybe Aaron Glenn does want to go to New Orleans on Friday and potentially talk to New Orleans. That interview was moved back due to the weather. It was supposed to happen tomorrow, and maybe he wants to see their deal, how much they're offering him and their plan and all that stuff, and then really compare the two. But let's be honest here. These are two sides that really seem to want each other. The Jets want Aaron Glenn, and Aaron Glenn has made it clear that he wants to be the coach of the Jets. It's one of those sayings of where there's smoke, there's fire. This has been something that's been predicted for a while. It's been something that's been expected for a while, and it's something that's going to happen very soon. I would not be surprised if something maybe gets hammered out tonight. I would probably expect more so within the coming days, but I don't think this is something that means, the interview went poorly. And I'll throw up this clip here from Ian Rappaport on the latest with the Aaron Glenn and Lance Newmark coaching search and the in-person interview today and what's next for them.
Well, it did sound like a productive day for the New York Jets and Aaron Glenn as both sides tried to make it happen so Aaron Glenn can be the next head coach of the New York Jets, which, of course, would represent a homecoming. Aaron Glenn, first-round draft pick from the Jets, became an all-pro with the Jets, had his first coaching job with the Jets. There's a lot of love from both sides, and it's not just between Aaron Glenn and the Jets. From my understanding, plenty of Jets legends have reached out to all parties to be like, this should happen. He is a member of the family. Him being the next head coach of the Jets would make absolute sense. Again, it did sound like it went well today, as, by the way, it did for Lance Newmark, the Washington Commanders' assistant general manager, who's trying to be the new GM of the Jets. There's just no deal yet, and these things can take some time. They take on many shapes and sizes and different forms. They all have a trajectory to their own. So it has not happened yet, but I have not gotten any sense that there's any issues. But as you mentioned, Aaron Glenn, of course, was a assistant coach with the Saints. That looms whenever weather allows them to have interviews. So if a deal does not get done, I would expect him to go there. I'm just saying, nothing final on the Jets just yet, Mike.
So a couple key things just from Rappaport, and they'll wrap this video up, because ultimately not a ton to take away from today other than them leaving the building with no deal. But he mentions a couple of key things, right? These things take time, which is true. We know this. The Jets have been interviewing 16 plus, 30 plus candidates combined with the general manager and head coach search. And now we're basically have one finalist for each at this point. So kind of an interesting search, as you know where I stand on the whole search. But not to get sidetracked, right? These things take time. He hasn't felt any issues, any hiccups. And another key thing that they continue to say here, and this was brought up in the Schultz report that I brought up yesterday about Aaron Glenn, and that's been talked about a lot. While the Saints feel like the number 2 for him, they continue to mention if no deal is reached, he will go to New Orleans, or he will visit with New Orleans. So this still feels like something where over the next 2 days, they're going to try and hammer out a deal. And if nothing is reached, similar to Schultz's report yesterday, where they said if nothing is reached with the interview with the Jets, then he will go to New Orleans. It still comes down to, it's basically the Jets. If they agree on the terms, he's going to take the Jets job before even going to New Orleans and interviewing there. And that continues to be a pretty common theme. So something else to look for, as maybe it seems like maybe it's not so much Glenn wanting to go to New Orleans. Maybe it is, but it feels like a lot of these reporting is he wants to get a deal here, and if he doesn't, then he'll go to the Saints. So I think this is more so long day, continue to hammer things out, figure out the deal, figure out the contract, and move along. So we'll have updates. I'll continue to obviously be here once the news is made, whether that's tonight, tomorrow, Thursday, whenever. We'll obviously have an episode breaking it all down, really taking a deep dive into my thoughts on both hires, the staff, what comes next. Just wanted to pop on here, give a quick episode just on an update from today. Felt like there was so much that happened today, although so little happened in a way. Like there was so much reporting and so much anticipation today, yet nothing really happened. But just wanted to provide an update for you guys. Appreciate the support as always. And until next time, Jets, Jets, Jets.